Hello, my name is Michael Frank, Director of Administrative Services with the City of Santa Rosa. This is our third video blog. The first one talked about budget basics. The second one talked about what the problem is in the general fund, which is about a $20 million ongoing problem. And then this video blog, we're going to talk about what options are out there and what has been considered and what does the process look like moving forward to deal with this $20 million issue. So when you're dealing with a budget problem, there's a revenue side and an expenditure side. So you can try and increase the revenue side or decrease the expenditure side. I mean, that's at a high level what you try and do. So I'm going to start on the revenue side. Revenues, first of all, for city services can only recover their costs. So the city and the general fund programs can't earn more than the cost of providing those services. But in a lot of cases, certain services don't fully recover their costs. So for example, there are certain recreation programs that you might pay a fee for that program, for that class, but we don't ask the full cost because in most cases it might not, we wouldn't get people to do the class. It might be over what people can afford. And there's a benefit to the community to having those types of programs for youth, for instance. But there are other areas, and for instance, our development function, which City Council has set a policy to strive for 100% cost recovery. So we can look at the services we provide and how much we're charging for those services and look if there's any way we can increase fees in those particular areas. So we've done a lot of that over the last 3 or 4 years. In terms of new taxes, there are very few options for local governments. In order to pass a tax, the city needs to go to the voters, and without getting into a lot of detail about what type of taxes, it would either need to be over 50% or over 2/3. To have 2/3 of the electorate of citizens would need to pass a new tax, which is not an easy task. So that's the revenue side. On the expenditure side, about 80% of the city's general fund are salaries and benefits. So we could, and we have looked at employee benefits, and we are moving to what's called a 2-tier retirement system with our bargaining units and trying to negotiate that with our bargaining units and our unions. The way that would work is new employees would have a lower retirement package than existing employees. The city, unlike many companies, the city has a number of unions and bargaining units, and when they have contracts, they can't, unlike a private sector employer, just say everyone gets a 10% cut. The city operates in a different environment than most businesses. We have a number of unions, and we have contracts with those unions. And so we need to operate within those contracts, and we're bound by those contracts. We're also bound by various labor laws at the state and federal level. We are working collaboratively with our bargaining units and our unions to see what we can do to reduce costs in the employment area. So I talked a little bit about revenues, and I talked about employee costs and some of the constraints and what can be done on the expenditure side around those. We can also look at reducing service levels. We have already done that, and we've been doing that, and we will, my guess is, continue to need to continue to do that. We can look at efficiencies in the organization, combining departments, looking for areas of duplication. So all of those are ways of helping us address the budget, that $20 million budget problem. In the end, the city council's the one that needs to make decisions about where the resources go for the community and how to address this $20 million problem. We've created a number of ways to get input from the public and from the council and from city staff and our bargaining units in how to collaboratively solve this problem. We created a budget deficit advisory group that has myself and the city manager. It has 2 city council members, it has 4 community members, and it has 2 labor union representatives. That group has been working for close to a year collaboratively as proposals move forward to make sure those proposals are balanced and that we're putting forward things that are meet the needs of the public and the needs of the council and live within the constraints that the organization has. City Council also has a budget subcommittee that is open to the public, and all revenue and expenditure decrease measures go before that budget subcommittee as well. And then everything moves on to the City Council in a public setting. We have a public input process as well that I'll talk about in a future video blog. And I'd also just like to mention at the end here that on our website at srcity.org, if you go to Administrative Services Department, there's not only the video blogs and presentations, but there's also an area that you, as a member of the public, can provide feedback, and you just fill that out and it goes directly to the budget staff. We compile that information and make sure it goes to the City Council. Thank you, and I'll talk to you at our next video blog.